My name is Mia Scott. I'm a 42-year-old office worker. My family consists of my husband and 3 daughters, making us a family of 5. I met my husband, Tom, who is 3 years older than me, through work connections between our companies. Our eldest daughter, Tabitha, is 14 years old and is a busy middle schooler, juggling studies and activities, and hanging out with friends on weekends. Our middle daughter, Violet, is 12 and has recently gotten a smartphone, which she operates better than us adults. Our youngest daughter, Yvonne, just turned 10 last month. She's a little darling who is pampered by her older sisters. Our family has always been close. We've had our small disagreements but have never had a big fight. Just the other day, we celebrated our 15th wedding anniversary by dining out as a family. We were all excited about going to the fancy restaurant my husband had booked. Seeing us so happy made my husband smile with joy. I truly believe, from the bottom of my heart, that our family of 5 will continue to get along well and go through life without any major problems, without a doubt in my mind. Then, one day happened. That day, I was working from home. When I momentarily stopped working to look at the clock, it was about time for the girls to come home. I decided to prepare some snacks and take a break, and just as I was stretching, I heard the sound of the front door opening. "Welcome back." As I went downstairs to greet them, Yvonne, with her small voice, said, "I'm home." Yvonne, carrying her bright red backpack, kept her head down as she took off her shoes and hurried to the living room. Seeing her face looking so burdened, I wondered if something had happened at school. "Yvonne, what's wrong? Did something happen at school?" "Huh? No, nothing's wrong." After washing her hands and gargling, Yvonne sat on the living room sofa, and I offered her some orange juice and snacks. Sitting gently beside Yvonne, I stroked her small head. "You don't have to say anything if you don't want to, but just remember this, I will always be on your side, no matter what." With a gentle voice, Yvonne clenched her cup tightly and slowly started to speak. "Mom." "Yes?" "Dad was seen by a friend from the same class who has even come over to our house to play." The word Dad suddenly appeared and made me jump. What could my husband have possibly done? "Dad was seen the other day with the mom of a kid in the same class, and they said, isn't that an affair?" "What?" I was frozen by the shock of Yvonne's words. My husband was seen with the mom of a child in Yvonne's class. I was confused, but more concerned about Yvonne right in front of me. Yvonne, having finished speaking, was teary-eyed. "Mom, an affair is a bad thing, right? Was Dad doing something bad?" Well, I was at a loss for what to say. The possibility that my husband might be having an affair. And to learn about it through a friend of my daughter. I looked at Yvonne intently. I wanted to avoid any clumsy lies or evasions as much as possible. "Yes, having an affair is indeed a very bad thing. But I can't believe that Dad would do that. I'm just as surprised to hear this for the first time." "So?" "Yes, we'll ask Dad when he gets back. So, let's keep this between you and me for now, okay?" With that, Yvonne nodded, yeah. I was determined to clear up my daughter's suspicions as soon as possible. I would like to talk to Yvonne's friend who allegedly witnessed it. And if it's the mom of a child in the same class, there's a high chance I know her. That night, I greeted my husband at the entrance, who returned home just before the date changed. He was surprised to see me awake, waiting for him at this hour. "What's up? It's rare for you to be up at this time. Did something happen?" he asked with a look of concern, appearing his usual self. I took a deep breath and asked. "You see, today Yvonne told me that you were seen with a woman I don't know." "Huh?" The voice that escaped my husband was low and cold. I was taken aback. "No. It was Yvonne's friend who saw it, but Yvonne is feeling anxious about it. So, I thought it must be a misunderstanding, but just wanted to check." "Of course." My husband raised his voice, cutting over mine as I rushed my words in a panic. Then, realizing it was the time when our daughters were sleeping, he suddenly lowered his voice. "That's gotta be a misunderstanding by Yvonne's friend. First off, was it even me? And if it was probably just me out on business with a colleague. There's nothing shady going on." "Well, seriously. Don't bother me with such nonsense when I'm tired. I'm going to take a shower." With those words, spoken as quickly as mine and without losing speed, my husband handed me his bag and hurried off to the changing room. For the first time in our 15 years of marriage, I saw an unmistakably unnatural behavior from my husband. Far from reassuring, the conversation only increased my suspicion. According to Yvonne's friend, the woman my husband was with was the mother of Yvonne's classmate. However, I've never heard of an employee from my husband's company being a parent of a child in the same class as Yvonne. Since I only mentioned seeing him with an unknown woman, it seemed like he made up a convenient lie. Once suspicion takes root, it knows no bounds. Yet, part of me still wanted to believe my husband. To dispel my doubts, I started to discreetly investigate his surroundings. Soon enough, I found undeniable evidence of his affair.
What? He's been in a relationship with this woman all along?
As I was about to collapse in shock, I heard my daughter's voice, "Mom, what's wrong?" Turning around, there were my eldest, Tabitha, and my middle daughter, Violet. "Oh, it's nothing." I tried to hide what I was holding, but Violet circled behind me and quickly snatched it away.
"Hey, wait! What's this?"
"Let me see, what is this?" As my two daughters were shocked, I held my head in my hands. I never wanted them to see something like this.
"Mom, what is this about?"
Pressed by Tabitha, I hesitated to speak. But, having been witness to this extent, I couldn't lie. I decided to tell the truth.
"It seems like Dad has been in an affair with this woman for a while." "What? I can't believe it."
Upon hearing the fact that their father had committed adultery, Tabitha's eyes widened in shock, and Violet clenched her fists and exclaimed,
"Hey, let's ask Dad about this when he comes back." "Right, Mom. It's better to clear these things up. We can't pretend not to see it anymore,"
they said with determination, placing their hands on mine which were on my knees. I let out a breath I didn't realize I had been holding. What strong allies I have. Yes, we can't ignore this any longer. Let's clarify everything and then think about what to do next. And we'll also tell Yvonne the truth. With that resolution, I immediately brought it up with my husband when he came home.
"Hey, you're really having an affair, aren't you?"
"Huh?
What's this all of a sudden?"
We talked about this before.
It's probably just a misunderstanding." "Misunderstanding?"
"Yeah."
"What's this? Yvonne's still worried."
"Fine, I'll talk to her directly."
"Stop, I'll explain it to Yvonne." "If you say it's a misunderstanding, then can you explain this to me?"
I said, spreading the photos I had been clutching on the table. There, photos of my husband and an unknown woman embracing each other naked were scattered. Each photo, taken on the same bed, was enough to confirm the relationship between the two.
"What, you?"
My husband's eyes widened as he stared at the photos. Seeing his reaction, I felt a sense of disillusionment.
"What's with that reaction? I found these photos in the closet of your room. Who do you think has been putting away your laundry every day? To think it was placed where it could be found just by shifting things a little, were you even trying to hide it? It's as if you threw it in the closet hoping I would find it."
I went on, and my husband bit his lip in frustration. After looking at the photos and then at me, he let out a long sigh. Then, looking up, he gave me a look of resignation I had never seen before.
"It's out now, yeah, I've been having an affair for a long time. You're so oblivious, it was actually funny how you never noticed." "Since when have you been having an affair?"
"Oh, it's been a while.
Probably since Yvonne was born.
You just weren't into it anymore.
It got boring. That's when I ran into her again, my ex-girlfriend."
"Ex-girlfriend?"
"She's an ex-girlfriend from college. We bumped into each other once, went out for drinks, and one thing led to another. It's been an affair ever since. Well, she's also married with kids, and it doesn't seem like she plans to end up anywhere with me. So, just let it slide, will you?"
"Huh?" I couldn't believe the words that came out of my husband's mouth. Look the other way? My husband's affair? Why? Why should I have to do that? My husband, smirking as if mocking me, was in front of me, laughing it off. I felt my patience snap.
"Look the other way? There's no way I can do that. Do you even realize what you've done? Having an affair is the ultimate betrayal to me and our daughters. How can you just laugh it off? I can't believe it."
As I yelled, my husband's smile faded, and he snorted dismissively.
"What are you talking about? It's your fault for not being there for me. That's why I ended up having an affair. So, you should just accept it." Ah, I never thought you'd be such a difficult woman. If you're going to complain this much, should we just get a divorce? You can't do it, can you? The girls need their father.
I couldn't stand to look at my husband's face, which seemed to look down on me, for another second. As I left the living room, I ran into Tabitha and Violet, who must have been eavesdropping at the door. I'm sorry, you too. I can't take it anymore. They both nodded solemnly. I could no longer see my husband as a father worthy of these children after he spouted such nonsense. We decided to leave the house. Either way, a calm discussion seemed impossible at the moment, and I needed to calm my own mind. We packed our things in record time and left the house. My husband didn't say anything. But his eyes seemed to say, "You'll regret this." When I called my parents' house and explained the situation, my mother said, "Come right over." In the car on the way to my parents' house, I explained everything to Yvonne, who seemed not to fully understand the situation yet. With Tabitha and Violet's help, it seemed Yvonne understood that Dad had done something terrible and hurt Mom. When we arrived at my parents' house, my mother welcomed us. "I'm back, Mom."
Come on, don't make that face. I guess it's too much to ask. Don't hesitate, you can stay here as long as you need.
My mother's kind words made the anger in my heart subside. What to do next? I can no longer imagine being his wife. To be openly defiant after being exposed for an affair, shifting the blame onto me, I want nothing more to do with such a despicable person. Having such a father is more harmful than beneficial to our daughters. He believed we would be lost without him, but that couldn't be further from the truth. Luckily, my job is going well, so I'm not worried about money for now. I want to get a divorce, receive child support. All I feel now is a desire to have nothing more to do with my husband. But it seemed the girls felt differently. Walking down the hall to the room I used to use, Tabitha whispered to me, "Mom, leave the rest to me."
Huh? I've got a plan for Dad's punishment, just you wait.
Tabitha said with a smile. Despite being puzzled by my daughter's mysterious words, I responded, "Okay." Honestly, I didn't take her talk of punishments seriously. I thought she was just trying to comfort me, that's what I believed. However, it turns out the girls were serious. Behind my back, they were secretly devising a plan of revenge against their father. A month had passed since we moved to my parents' house. We had gotten used to commuting to work and school from there, and so far, there had been no problems. Surprisingly, my husband contacted me once a week. But instead of apologies, his messages were just complaints like, "Hey, how long are you going to sulk? Get back here and take care of the house. You're not a child." Ignoring all of that, I was moving forward with preparations for a divorce. It was a holiday, and all 3 daughters had left in the morning to hang out with their friends. Suddenly, my phone rang, and I noticed a message had arrived. When I opened my phone, a message with a meaningful phrase popped up. "Mom, we're about to execute our punishment on Dad. Watch this." Below the message was a URL, which I pressed with a puzzled tilt of my head. It led to a live stream on a video site, and I recognized our former home in the background as my daughter's voice came through.
"Hello, everyone. We're about to give our dad a little punishment." "What?"
As if responding to my inadvertent question mark, Tabitha began to explain the situation.
For those who are new here, let me explain. Our dad has been having an affair for nearly 10 years, and when it finally came out, he lashed out at us. We left home together with Mom because we couldn't stand just taking it. And yes, this is the dad who's been betraying us for so long. Unforgivable, right? So, we're going to punish him by raiding the scene of his affair right now. No!
Watching the stream, my eyes widened in disbelief. Tabitha's talk of punishment was serious. I hurriedly got into my car and drove to the house we once lived in. The comments section streaming by at an incredible pace was filled with encouragement for the punishment and the raid.
All right, let's go inside. Wow, it's been a while, but our house is so dirty.
The entrance and hallway shown on the screen were overflowing with trash, a far cry from the house's former state. As they quietly made their way through the house, they explained in more detail what had been happening. They likely intended for me to hear this as well. Unbeknownst to me, my daughter's plan for revenge was progressing smoothly. Tabitha had anticipated that my husband would bring his mistress to the empty house and had secretly returned to plant listening devices and cameras to catch them in the act. Violet found the mistress's social media account and had been monitoring her movements. Yvonne had even approached the mistress's child, a classmate, to gather information. Such initiative. My own daughters, yet so frighteningly thorough. I drove on, struggling to keep my composure. The stream was just about to raid the bedroom. Though not shown on the screen, Violet and Yvonne must be there with her. My daughters might be engrossed in their punishment of their father, but there's no telling what an infuriated husband might do. What a helpless mother I am, letting my daughters do this. But that's exactly why I must protect them. On the screen, through the bedroom door, the conversation between my husband and his mistress could be heard. "Hey, when is your wife coming back? It's about time this place got cleaned up." "Yeah, maybe she won't come back at all. I never thought she'd be so stubborn and unattractive. It feels stupid to have been with her for 15 years. Hey, why don't we get together from now on?" "What? You're the one who dumped me back then. I didn't realize what a great woman you were back then. I was young, too. Plus, you said you were tired of your husband as well. It seems like your husband still doesn't know about us. We should just get divorced now. But I don't want to be separated from my kids, and I'd probably get custody, right? I don't want to start working now. Don't worry, I'll take care of you and the kids. My daughters will probably be taken by their mother, and I'll be free." "Sure." After such a shallow conversation, the atmosphere changed abruptly. The comment section was overflowing with people egging on the moment of the raid. I arrived in front of the house just as Tabitha was opening the bedroom door. The door swung open with a loud noise. The bed appeared on the screen. A swath of flesh lay across it. There seemed to be an effort not to show faces, as the camera zoomed in on the disgraceful sight of the two. "I'm home!" Tabitha announced loudly. "What? Hey!" My husband's eyes widened in shock. "What? What's this?" The mistress noticed the camera and screamed, diving into the bed. A true scene of chaos unfolded. Tabitha approached the bed briskly. "The dopey-looking guy here is our dad, and this lady is Ms. S., the mistress," she announced to the viewers. "Hey! What the hell is this all about? What are you doing?" My husband yelled with biting fury. And Tabitha responded loudly as well. "What are you doing is my line. What are you doing bringing your mistress home in broad daylight? So, you're dedicated to your affair? Affair, you say? Look, I don't know what Mom has told you, but all this is her fault, not mine. It's because of her that I had to have an affair. If you're my daughter, you should believe what your father says." "What? What are you talking about? The reason doesn't matter. Being married with kids and having an affair is 100% wrong. After doing it for so long, don't act like a father now. It's disgusting." I had never seen Tabitha raise her voice like this. She's always been calm, hardly ever fighting with her sisters. That's how I knew her outburst came from genuine anger. "What? Who do you think raised you? If you want gratitude for raising us, then act in a way that's deserving of thanks. At least, there's absolutely nothing to be thankful for in your current behavior. This girl. And what's with that camera?" "It's to capture evidence of the affair, of course. That's what this camera is for." My husband glared at Tabitha, attempting to snatch the camera from her hand. Tabitha dodged him at the last moment, putting some distance between them. "Stop it, now! Hey!" And then I, the wife and mother, caught up to the scene. As expected, Violet was waiting outside the bedroom, but Yvonne was nowhere to be seen. I shielded Tabitha behind me. "Mom! Tabitha, doing something so dangerous!" "I'm sorry. But we couldn't forgive him." "I know. This is for me too, isn't it? Thank you." I stroked Tabitha's head and faced my husband. I pulled out the divorce papers from my pocket and threw them at him. "Divorce me now. We don't need a husband or father like you." He raised his eyebrows even more. "Are you serious? You think you can support the girls on your own? I told you, if you just turned a blind eye to the affair, I'd forgive what happened at home. Be smart and beg me for forgiveness, that's the wise way to live." His utterly selfish argument made my patience snap again. "Do you not realize how selfish you're being? Turn a blind eye to the affair? Beg you for forgiveness? Why should I do any of that?
Especially when you're not even sorry. Even after all this, you still don't reflect on your actions? Don't joke with me. I don't care how valuable you think you are, but to us, someone who cheats has no value at all. We're done with you.
When I yelled that, my husband gasped in surprise for a moment. However, he did not reconsider his actions and maintained his condescending attitude.
Equal, huh? But don't get it twisted. It's not you dumping me, it's me dumping you.
Saying that, he signed the divorce papers on the bed. No matter what words he threw at me, they just sounded like empty parting shots. And the attempt to claim the upper hand in this situation by talking about dumping was just pitiful. After checking the divorce papers thrown at me as if in retaliation, I said,
I'll be claiming child support in full, so be prepared. To be rid of you, any price is cheap. Just don't come crawling back to me when you run out of money.
He then turned to the mistress, now cowering in the corner of the bed.
I'm divorced now. It's your turn.
If you divorce, we can be together.
Oh,
From atop the bed, she looked over at my husband, me, and the daughters, becoming even smaller. I knew her. Though we hadn't spoken much, she was definitely Yvonne's friend's mother. Then, the sound of footsteps coming up the stairs was heard. Turning around, I saw Yvonne bringing someone up to the second floor. The mistress's eyes widened, and her lips trembled at the sight of the newcomer.
Lisa, you did this. Why are you here? Yvonne told me about you and your ex here.
The man who appeared was the mistress's husband. Behind him was a little girl.
Oh!
I had seen this child at Yvonne's school. She still had such a young child, yet she was engrossed in an affair with my husband. I was utterly disgusted, being confronted by her husband. The girl left at the bedroom entrance seemed unable to comprehend the situation, looking bewildered.
Mom, what are you doing with Yvonne's dad? Sally, it's not what it looks like. Hey! Don't show Sally weird things.
As the husband stepped forward to protect the girl, Violet and Yvonne quickly grabbed her hand.
Let's wait over there until the talk is finished.
After ensuring that Sally, the girl referred to as Suzuka, nodded slightly, the three slowly headed towards the room they once shared as sisters. Then, a scream was heard. I turned towards the source of the scream. The mistress was seen with a pale face looking at her smartphone.
Hey! What's this all about suddenly? Wait! What is this? It's being streamed! A friend just told me. Aren't you the one in the stream?
The husband and mistress looked at each other. It seemed they had just realized that this turmoil was being live-streamed. Behind me, Tabitha continued to hold the camera, and the husband and mistress turned their heads towards her in unison, like rusty tin figures making the exact same movement. Their screams echoed throughout the house. A few days later, a meeting was arranged involving me, my in-laws, my husband, the mistress, her husband, and lawyers. Right from the start, my husband knelt down before me.
I'm sorry, Mia. I apologize for everything I've done up to now. Please, forgive me.
I responded with a cold look, remaining silent. My husband continued to plead.
That stream went viral, my identity was exposed, and my photos were leaked. I have nowhere to go now. I can't even stay at my job, and you understand I won't be able to pay child support, right? Please, forgive me. It's just one apology.
Just one? I looked down at him.
You don't seem to understand how much that just one time has hurt us. Mia! And, you say once, but you've been having an affair for nearly 10 years, right? How can you even ask for forgiveness?
My husband groaned in frustration, rubbing his forehead against the floor. I looked down on him without any sympathy. The divorce between me and my husband was successfully finalized, and I ensured that he promised to pay child support in full. Both my husband and his mistress had their faces exposed nationwide due to the live stream. Though the account itself got suspended because the video was quite risque, such is the nature of this internet society. The live stream video, saved by someone unknown, keeps being posted and deleted without permission, making it impossible to completely erase once it has entered the vast sea of the internet. As a result of the video, my husband became the talk of the town at his workplace and the mistress in her neighborhood, both of them in extremely uncomfortable situations. Unable to withstand it, my husband voluntarily resigned. However, due to the obligations of child support payments, he's been working somewhere, somehow managing while repeatedly borrowing money. The mistress and her husband also divorced. Sally ended up transferring schools, but the letter exchanges between Yvonne and Sally continue. My daughters momentarily became heroes at school, but as with all children's trends, the topic quickly changed ever so fleeting. Becoming a single mother, I was thankfully offered a promotion to an overseas branch. After much discussion with all 3 daughters, we decided to move abroad. From now on, we 4 want to do our best as a family.